Hi everyone, News 11's Danielle Burke-North here in studio talking a little bit more about the abortion ban repeal that happened last week. So if you don't know, actually last month in April, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled the near total abortion ban from 1864 to go into effect. But now actually just last week, that ban was repealed and it was signed by Governor Katie Hobbs. She signed the repeal. The vote was 16-14 in favor of repealing that ban. Now, just this morning, many physicians across Arizona met to discuss what that ban would mean and what the repeal now means and when that would go into effect. The repeal could take effect as early or as late as June 27th until fall. It takes place 90 days after the legislative session ends, and unfortunately that 15-week abortion ban is still in place. Many of the physicians that met this morning virtually shared how detrimental that could be for people who need to receive an abortion and aren't able to and have to continue their pregnancy past that 15 weeks. They're hoping that the Abortion Access Act can go into effect in November on the ballot. They encourage people this morning that they want people to sign that Abortion Access Act in November on the ballot. What that act means is that Arizonans have the fundamental right to receive abortion care until fetal viability, or that's up until the 24th week of pregnancy, and with some expectations on this. So that's a little bit about what this morning's meeting was, to just hear from some of the physicians across Arizona, hear what they have to say about the repeal and how that affects Arizonans. They also shared that, they're hoping that people sign this act in the ballot in November because it means that people can have the right to their own health care and it's not put in the hands of politicians. That means that, physicians can decide, what is best for their patients. Patients and their families can decide. It's not just put in the hands of the physicians, in the hands of the politicians, to decide that for them. So again, if you, just joined in, I can review a little bit more, but there is the 1864 near total abortion ban, and that was put into effect again on April 9th, about a month ago, by the Supreme Court, about to rule that again, that near total abortion ban. However, last week, that was voted by the Arizona Senate to repeal that 1864 ban, and it was signed by Governor Katie Hobbs. That last week, it was a 16-14 in favor of repealing that 160-year-old ban. And again, Governor Katie Hobbs signed that last week. Now that can go into effect around June 27th or into the fall. It takes place 90 days after the legislative session ends. So unfortunately, that 15-week abortion ban still remains in place. This morning, many physicians across Arizona met virtually to discuss how that affects people. What does that mean with that 15-week abortion ban still in place? That can mean people who, have pregnancies and are having complications still have to, unfortunately, carry out that pregnancy until that 15-week ban is over. That can mean that they have to travel out of state to go to a state where it is, legal, and have to, if they even have the finances to be able to do that, they'll have to travel somewhere else to receive that care. And they just shared a little bit about how detrimental that can be for families. They also shared that, they're hoping people will sign the Arizona for Abortion Access Act in November on the ballot. What that act would mean is that it gives Arizonans a fundamental right to receive that abortion care, and it's in their hands as well as in their physicians' hands that get to decide instead of politicians. That means they can receive abortions up until fetal viability or about the 24th week of pregnancy with some exceptions. So that's what their main goal was this morning, is, to speak about what the ban means, what this repeal now means, and how that affects people as we're in this waiting period until that about June 27th time period or until the fall. They're hoping, again, that people sign this act in November. That means that instead of abortions being in the politicians' hands, it goes back into the hands of, physicians, the families, and, patients who are receiving that care. So that's a little bit of where we are now. That would take place again in the November ballot that, Arizonans have the chance to sign and to decide, what they want for the future of abortion care. Again, many physicians met this morning just sharing their opinions. Last week, I was able to speak with Planned Parenthood as well, and they shared that they were thankful for those, the 16 people that voted in favor of repealing the ban. They were thankful that, it's put back into the hands of the Arizonans, that it's not in the hands of politicians. Even today, that, some of the physicians shared it shouldn't be in the hands of politicians in their mind, because those politicians didn't go to school for this specific field, so they shouldn't be able to decide for the people. So again, I spoke with Planned Parenthood, the physicians this morning. They all are thankful that this repeal happened, and that they're hoping that there's still more change that needs to happen, which will be their people signing this, Access Act in November on the ballot. But thank you again for tuning in. Hear more about it later on tonight in our packages and minis. You can tune in at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 p.m. as well on NBC to hear a little bit more about what this means and what our meeting happened, what they said in the meeting this morning. Reporting in studio, Danielle Burke North, News 11.